the Google Hangouts thing wasn't working for a while. Now it is. Hopefully folks will join. We'll have to wait. So for starters, there's a little handout. I'm going to get better about getting these to you guys on the phone. But we'll just go over them. You guys just had to go sort of play it by ear. So thinking about how to be sort of conversational, and, going step by step. Next week we'll crack open our Tlingit phrase book, so make sure you bring that one. That right there. We'll just practice some phrases from there. There's a lot of conversational stuff in there that's really good. That thing was not published when I first started learning Tlingit, and when it first came out, those of us who were studying the language a lot was super, super excited. Richard Dowenhauer, Nora Dowenhauer, and Johnny Marks worked really hard on that. They came up with a lot of really amazing things. There's a lot of grammatical information in there as well. And also, we're doing these lessons, and as you read, you should be studying some of these lessons. We'll be ready for lesson 2 in about a week or so. But read all the notes and other things at the end of the chapters and start to get into some grammatical things. And never be afraid to ask questions. I might launch into some long discussion about the classifier. And I'll just, I might not make sense when I first talk about it, but I'll bring in some examples and we'll keep looking at it. Okay, so if you see someone, let's do Johnny Appleseed. We'll say this. What's that? Okay, so there's this phrase from Johnny Appleseed. Okay, good to see you. This is a good thing to sort of let's start with when we see each other. There are other things that we can learn how to say. This is a good starting point. So the first part is yakay. 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 Ichsatini. 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 So that second part, they're both verbs. We talked about classifiers for a second. Does anybody take a guess at what the classifier is on that first verb? O-Y-N. Yeah, that's it. What about the second one?
Zero. S.
It's the S. S-A. Sa. So, we go back, and I'll bring you guys a printout, and I'll email this classifier chart so that you guys can have it. Just, have it, and then whenever you see a verb, just take a look and see where you can spot it. There's a lot of stuff in Tlingit where there's all these different patterns, and we'll talk about them a lot, but really they'll make sense in context later. So try to put these different little puzzle pieces in when you're looking for them later. So if you see someone, you might say, yakay ichsatini. Yakay ichsatini. Yakay ichsatini. Yakay ichsatini. Yakay ichsatini. Yakay ichsatini. Now I'm going to adjust this slide a little bit. We went to the hospital in Anchorage, the native hospital in Anchorage, and they had this thing where they had all these different Alaska Native languages, and they were saying, it said, how are you doing? Or it's like reading in all these different Alaska Native languages. And I looked at the one for Tlingit, and this is what it said. And the translation said, good to see you, and in parentheses, how are you doing? This really means Is that you? which is, this is another way to greet somebody in Tlingit, but it's kind of getting into the smart aleck territory, which is fun. That's a fun place to be. My uncle Johnny Marks, he was always, he would say much more interesting things than this. My uncle Smitty Kancic, when I see him, he usually says, says, "You're a liar." And that's how he says hi to me. And then I say sometimes, or I say no, or something. But yeah, teasing happens a lot. Teasing and just being sort of cheeky. But I liked it because I think somebody had some fun. Like, how do you say how you do? You know, how do you say hi? And so it doesn't work. And I figured it out because sometimes people will write me, and I have a lot of sympathy for what Richard Dowenhauer must have gone through being the guy who teaches Tlingit at the university. Because you get all kinds of questions. Like at least once a month, it's, I'm so-and-so writing a novel, and this person is Tlingit, so I want to blah, blah, or we're making, there was a movie called Klondike. Anybody see that movie, Klondike? It came out on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, I think I had seen that one.
I can't say, well, I don't know. Initially I say don't watch it because there's parts in there that are probably garbage. But I also say watch it because you'll see the worst Tlingit ever spoken on film, even worse than Betty. You guys know Betty White was?
Oh, yeah, that.
Yes.
Oh.
You should watch The Proposal. Just for the strangeness. It's just this one little.
The dancing?
Oh, yeah. But, feel free to just fall right out of your chair and roll around on the floor.
And she used one of Ed Littlefield's songs too, right, or something?
I think so. Yeah. And she's jumping around yelling for the cheese. And it's just, it's weird.
I feel really embarrassed now because now I look back at myself watching Klondike like, well, it's wow.
So this movie Klondike comes out. Totally get sidetracked. Richard Dowenhauer gets an email and saying, and it's obvious they went to a gifted, fluent speaker and got some lines. But the reason they were emailing was we recorded this, but we want to make sure that they're saying what they're saying and that the subtitles match. And somehow they lost the English translation, perhaps, because they're like, we're not sure what parts of this say. And so I wrote back and I said, yeah, I could look at it. You guys got to pay me for my time. I'm going to do this. And then I said, send me the video clips. Then when I watched the clips, it was awful. So apparently their idea, and I don't know why you would do this. Like, say if I knew nothing about Italian, like nothing. Okay, I don't know, maybe I don't know, or maybe even like Dutch. I know much less about Dutch. Let's say I was writing a movie and somebody was Dutch, and I was going to make this movie and put it on a channel that a lot of people watch. And they obviously invested lots of money. There were a few like pretty big name actors in it. It was well produced. Is what it looked like. But then I would sort of find someone who speaks Dutch and say, could you just send me these, could you translate this into Dutch? But I never asked them to ever say it. And then I just had these actors just sort of read this Dutch, and they don't know any Dutch at all. That would be a terrible idea, right? Nobody would do that. I don't think. Maybe they would. But that's what they did with Tlingit. So they're dressed like, they look like, maybe they're a Cree or something, and the rhythm that they were going, it's like they just watched Dances with Wolves a bunch of times. Because it's not like sort of plains, like Kota, maybe, like that sort of rhythm. And it was completely, I couldn't understand it. But then all of a sudden there'd be like this word that I recognized. So I wrote them back. I was like, it's obvious you guys are doing a good job with this movie and you put a lot of time into it, but you got to do this whole thing over. I said, you gotta get a language coach, or you gotta have somebody, you gotta at least record somebody who knows how to speak the language saying these things. And they're like, well, we're already done. So I was like, I'm not gonna have anything to do with it because I want my name anywhere near. Anyways, so back to how you do it. Well, it's another fun thing you could say to somebody. You can say "Satine." You just leave the other parts out. That's the verb on it. I see you. You just kind of be weird about it if you want to. Although that phrase, somebody told me, if you encounter something that you think is not a person, and these things have happened around here, we call them kushtaka. And you're in a situation and you realize, so some of the things I've heard is you try to extract communication from that person. Because it's a kushta means landotter, ka means person. It's a landotter who makes himself look like a person. And then if you realize that something is weird, you say, I see you, right? And that's supposed to sort of help you get out of the situation. That's a good phrase to know. Say, it's good to see you. We were practicing some phrases. I don't know why I teach this kind of stuff, but it's fun. So we were saying, it's good to see you. But you could also say, like it's bad to see you. But you would have to make sure that it's somebody who's comfortable teasing. You always want to be careful with teasing, but it's fun. So moving on. So then from there you could say, wasa ieti. So everybody say, wasa ieti.
Wasa ieti.
Wasa ieti.
Wasa ieti.
So remember, we're asking a question, the tone stays low, stays flat. Right? You don't turn it up at the end. And I do this all the time, right? Like you might say, I speak Tlingit with my kids, and you might want to ask, is it done? Are you done? And a fast way to do that would be huchke. A lot of times I'd say huch, right? And I would just sort of do the turning up thing, but you got to put the get on there. So again, coming back, sa is one way to ask a question, and it usually pairs with one of these other things, da, wa, gu, etc. The other way is to put get in there. It's G and a high tone to E. And that turns phrases into questions. So I might say, I was at a function and they had these kids walking around speaking Tlingit. It was awesome. Whenever we're learning a language, we always have to, corrections are really interesting. I've been in situations where there's fluent speakers and sometimes one person harshly corrects somebody else. And sometimes that's the way it goes. But sometimes the corrections are just more gentle. So as far as when to correct somebody, you always want to just be conscious of that. One, you don't want to make it seem like you know more than they do, and we're just going to leave it at that, right? So I've seen people who's, you'll try out a phrase and they'll say that's wrong, and then that's it. And so you're just like, well, I guess I won't try that one again. But I've seen other speakers who try to always look for a teaching moment, and they'll say, oh, what are you trying to say? Or they might just repeat it back to you in a way that works a little bit better for the language. You try not to embarrass folks, so maybe wait for the right time. If somebody's giving a speech, you can yell out, correct me, pronounce it. But later you might say, hey, I just thought maybe this was like this. And there's groups of us, we still do this to each other. We're always trying to keep each other progressing in the language. So these kids were walking around and they were saying, Hina tawasagu, Hina tawasagu. And so I said, that's awesome that you guys are using Tlingit, but just say, Hingete tawasagu. And now you've got a question, right? Because the first one was just saying, you want water? You want water? You want? But we don't turn it up at the end. Anyways. So here's your awesome little, what do they call them? Emoticons?
Emojis?
Emojis?
Yeah.
So we're going to give you 2 answers each for doing good, whatever, doing bad, right? So the straight-faced one is just, there's a wide variety of things, and some of them are sort of non-answers as well. Because maybe you don't want to say how you're doing. Either it's maybe not that person's business, Or maybe you just don't feel like it. Or maybe you're doing bad and you don't want to talk about it. Who knows? Or maybe you're just sort of being your smart alecky self. So, someone says, what's that yeti? First one's 2 thumbs up. Fawns, like, we talked about this yesterday? Okay, like, things are awesome. There's butterflies, unicorns, rainbows, all that kind of stuff. So you say, Yay! 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 So that's just a straight answer. You could say, Chat yake. I'm good. But the other thing is, got to be careful with that one, because in certain contexts it could come off as saying like, I'm good, yeah, right? And you always want to be careful. But, there might be instances where you were sick, and now you're saying, now I'm fine. Right? So it's all about context. But just a general sort of yake back without putting yourself in as the object is just fine. That means I'm good. Another way to be really good, Achtubu Segu.
Achtubu Segu.
Achtubu Segu.
Achtubu Segu.
Achtubu Segu.
Achtubu Segu.
So there's a verb there. Anybody want to guess what the verb is?
Segu.
Segu. Anybody want to guess what the classifier is?
S-I.
Sit, right? So gu is happiness or pleasure. Achtubu means like my spirit or my emotions. It literally means this area inside of me. Right? And so, and this is how Tlingit talks about emotions. It's really interesting to look at how Tlingit talks about emotions. It uses a lot of object pronouns as opposed to subject pronouns. So, unfortunately, it's just like the Hollywood Indian. It says, me good Indian. That's how you would actually say it in Tlingit. It drives me nuts. But there's also things where like you conjugate it to this, my spirit is good. My spirit is sick, which means sad. Or, there's other things that could be going on. Okay. Keshwasa.
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 So this could be just sort of so-so. It really literally means not how say, right? But in a context, it always just basically means okay. And it could be, it could be like, yeah, I'm okay. Or I'm okay as in I'm fine. And it's also used, if someone says, good as cheese, they really thank you. You might say, keshwasa, like, it's okay, it's no big deal. So it could also mean that. Or if somebody really like apologizes for doing something wrong, we might say, keshwasa, it's okay. And so it just means, okay. Chachataya.
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 That means I'm just me. Right. Haseh, Selena Everson uses this one quite a bit. I see her. I'm like, what's that? Chachataya. I'm just me. Great Tlingit answer, right? That's how I'm good. I'm just me. Okay. Keshushke.
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 So in our text response, we have now used the other parenthesis, the beginning parenthesis, for the sad face now. So what would the verb be there? Yeah, it's an SH classifier, and it's the same verb root as this top one. K to ke. And that means bad, right? It doesn't mean not good, it means bad, right? Keshkeshke. And this could also be used to talk about something that's villainous or evil or really bad. So,
We were talking earlier, if the slash in front of it is negative, then does not literally mean not bad.
No.
No?
So yeah, that's because the root itself means good or fine.
Oh.
So what's going, and so this is how Tlingit verbs work, is everything works off of the meaning of the root, and then we go from there. So keshmasa might be, I don't know how you would say not bad. I don't think you could say keshbushke. But you could probably say keshbushke. That might work. It's not bad. So you're turning this into sort of an adjective. Keshbushke adjective. That's how it works. It's not a bad thing. Okay, so keshbushke is bad. Chat yanik.
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 Right, sick. So yanik is sick. It's the verb. What's the classifier?
YA.
YA. Yeah. The other thing to notice is I had a typo on here. This chat is high tone. This chat is low tone. And these are things that we're going to pay attention to, both in the way that we talk, the way that we write things down when we hear them, the way that we read things when we see them. And also when we're starting to look at words and listen to them, how they function. The reason this one is high is because it's not connected to a verb. So it's just saying like me. I'm me. Right? This one is saying it's an object. Right? I'm the one who's sick. I'm the object. Right? Right. So everybody everybody picked a noun? Just pick any noun from these ones that we've been studying. I'm going to pick shall. This is what I have. Shall. Everybody say shall.
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 Everybody, I guess, let me pull this picture up real fast. I said fast.
Okay.
Up. Hashtag enough. Okay, so this is, those of you on the phone won't be able to see it. It's called, what do we call this in English?
Gumboot.
It's a gum boot, right? Or some people call it a kite. Does everybody know, anybody not know what that is?
I'm willing to do that, yeah.
Okay.
No idea.
It's a shellfish that's on the underside of rocks. When the tide goes way out, you go get them. You pop them off with a butter knife. This is what, those are little wing-shaped shells, and you pull them out.
Yeah.
Cook them not for very long, or else they get awful rubbery. And then you pull those shells out, you run your finger through to clean it out. It's a Tlingit delicacy. Shao.
Shall.
And let's start on the phone. What did you two pick for your nouns?
Boot. Dime.
Good. Okay. So we'll keep that vowel short. Good.
Good.
Okay. Kakao Sa. Okay. And then Gage, we had some video problems, but now we're on. Did you pick a noun? It could be any noun that we've been studying. Okay, we'll just wait. I don't know if we're having connection problems or not. Wa'eqa,
Kawut.
kawoot,
Oh, sorry. Gooch.
gooch,
Shawat.
shawat,
Shawat.
Tina.
tana,
Ya.
ya,
Ya.
Yeah.
Ya.
ya,
Douche.
douche,
Shayena.
shayena. Okay, so here's how this one works. So I am holding shall. Okay, so that's what I have. Keep in mind what you have. And then I'm going to ask you questions. First question I will ask is dasaya. Let me turn my screen share on. So the first thing I will ask is going to be dasaya, and I got to get bigger pictures. I thought I could pull it off with the test one. But anyways, you know I have shall. You know that's what I have. So when I say dasaya, what am I asking? What is this? Right? So the key thing is catching the ya part at the end. Ya is here, we is there. So you would answer with shall away. And then we all gotta make sure we're holding up our things. So then I'll point at the thing that you were holding up, and I will say das away. And for you, you would answer yeah, okay? So we're doing a little bit of back and forth here. When the question, in this particular drill, the question is away, the answer is ayah. When the question is ayah, the answer is away. And what usually helps with this is, I've heard from some speakers and elders that it's rude to point, but I also know that pointing is a verb, and I know that this thing is named pointer from Tlingit. So we'll say just for our exercise, it's okay to point at things that might help if you wanted to sort of open your hands so you're not doing this, that's fine. And those of you on the phone, just keep in mind that you've got your objects. I've got mine. Mine is shall. The answer to dasaya is always going to be shall away. And then I want to ask what you, or not what you have, but I'm saying, what is that? I'm pointing through the phone to the imaginary thing that you're holding in your hand. And those of you online, we're doing the same thing. We'll see if we get any sound. I don't know if the sound is on TV. Seems like it. Okay. And for those of you on video, it wouldn't launch for a long time, and then it finally did. Okay. Dasaya.
Shall away.
Dasaway.
Kawut. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shao away.
Dasaway.
Gooch. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shawat.
Dasaway.
Shawat. Shawat. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shao away.
Dasaway.
Tina aya.
Dasaya.
Shall away.
Dasaya. Dasaway.
Ya. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shall away.
Dasaway.
Ya. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shao away.
Dasaway.
Douche. Aya. Aya.
Dasaya.
Shao away.
Dasaway.
Shayena aya.
I forgot to bring my notes. Tell me your Simshan name again.
Got to bin.
Gadam Tabin. Dasaya.
I say that in Tlingit.
What's that?
How do you say heart of the sea lion in Tlingit?
Ton Teich.
Tonte.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we can go by that.
Okay. Ton Teich. Dasaya.
Good, away.
Oh, you gotta say shao away. I know you can't see me, but dasaya is what is this? So I'm pointing at the thing that I'm holding.
Okay.
And say shao away.
Shall away.
And then I say das away.
Good,
Now it's good ayah.
good, aya.
Sheesh. Kakaushati dasaya.
Shao Ewe.
Dasawe.
Da Aya.
Okay. You guys online, can you speak? Can you hear us? Okay. So I am holding shao. You have chosen a noun. Dasaya.
Aya. Cha away.
And dasawe.
Kuhida. Aya.
Okay. Akgage dasaya. Oh, we might not get the beginning sound. Okay. So what we'll do this time is I will ask you again, and then you will ask those same questions to the person to your left. Dasaya,
Shao away.
dasawe,
Kabu. Aya. Dasaya.
Kawut, awe. Oh, da, sai.
wait, now I'm asking
Okay.
dasawe.
Okay, Dasaway.
Kuch, aya. Da, soe.
Dasaya.
Oh.
We'll do that one first.
Okay, so, da, saya.
Kuch away.
Da, sawe.
Shawat aya.
Okay.
Dasaway.
Dasaya.
Oh, dasaya.
Shawat away.
Dasaway.
Tana. Dasaya.
Tina away.
Dasaway.
Ya. Ya. Aya. Ya. Away. Dasaya.
Yak away.
Dasaway.
Douche. Aya. Aya. Dasaya.
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 Douche away.
Dasaway.
Shayena. Aya. Dasaya.
Shagina away.
Dasaway.
Ciao. Aya. Let's try through the phone. So I will ask Han Peh, which I will be able to remember. And then you can ask Kakaushati. Dasaya.
Shao Ewe. Wait.
Dasawe.
Dasewe.
Good, away. Aya. Good, aya.
You okay? Take a little practice when we can't see each other. Take a little practice. And then Uchta, I guess you can ask me.
Okay. Dasaway.
Shao Aya.
Dasaya.
Kuhida away. You. Okay. So the next thing, we'll keep working on this one. The other thing is we're going to do this slideshow again through the video. Those of you online, I'll send you guys, I think I have your email. Well, you've got the handout, so I'll challenge you to just have a little piece of paper where you'll cover up the words in Tlingit so that you'll be able to just sort of recite these, and we'll give it a shot. So what we have is a slideshow where there'll be a picture of Atdayi or Kushta or whatever. And starting tomorrow, we'll put that up and I'll say Dasaway, and we'll see if we can answer it without having the Tlingit written form. But if we can't get it, then we can put the words up. No problem. No problem. The next step after that, so we're using this ya and we. We're going to use it in a slightly different way after that. So then I might ask, So if we all have these things and we hold them up, and I might try to do larger ones. So if we all hold them so we can all see them, it's important. And then I'll try to bring some props that we can put by the phone and we can put by the television. So I might say, Gusu Shao. And the answer for you guys was to point and say, Wei Du Shao. So it's over there. So this is specifying, this is the answer to the question, where is something? Gusu blank. Where is blank? And it could be anything. Gusu Gao, Gusu Kutia, Gusu Kutia, Wei Du. Right? And so Wei Du, and then if you're holding it, so we'd go around and I would ask you, I might ask you Dasa Ya, I might ask you Dasa Wei, I might ask you Gusu, and you should be able to answer those three, and we'll throw two more in there, which we'll talk about tomorrow as well. But then if you were holding it, we would say Yadu Shao, Yadu. So there's the Ya and the We in a slightly different form. All right, finish cheese. Hopefully there's no technical difficulties tomorrow. Sorry about the delay, everybody.
Wasa.
Wasa.
Swoosh.
Sige, what's the team?
Swoosh. Swoosh.